Well, good evening. Now for a first. I was watching some YouTube videos and things, and I thought, time to get this set up on this computer. Come here. Come here. All right. Let me get over here and switch things around. Yep, I've got a friend who wants to help me play a little bit. This is Jack. Anyway, I don't know what he's on about, but he kind of came in here, started tapping on my leg, and he just came and climbed up here. But yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna just launch. I guess I don't really need these open anymore. I'm gonna get rid of that. This popped up in my searching, so I thought it's worth taking a look at. But another weird thing had popped up on YouTube today, and I thought, that ad looks like a scam to me, so I'm gonna research it a little, see what kind of scam it is. I use CCAN to install and manage mods in KSP. If you're not using CCAN for Kerbal Space Program, then you're some kind of hoopy fruit, I think. No, it's okay. You can manage them manually if you really want to. But it's just so much better this way. One, I'm not sure if I thought I had installed it, but let's go ahead and look for docking port alignment indicator. Yeah, it says it's installed. I was playing earlier today, and I was doing a thing with the docking ports. I had it selected, but it didn't. The indicator didn't pop up, so I'm not sure if there's something additional configuration now. In the past, I think it was just that. Go ahead and click launch here, and get it started up. In the future, I'll probably get things launched and started beforehand. Oh, you silly kitty. Oh, yeah. You love getting the top of your head scratched, except when you don't. Okay. So, now I did just buy, recently bought the new expansion, and I have not set it up yet with this install. So I should have done that before this, but that's okay. That's new stuff. I'll probably make a separate video just going and exploring that one of these days. All right, you turn around this way. There you go. So now I was playing a little bit ago, and started putting together a couple of different things this weekend, and so about an hour and a half ago, I put together some satellites, and put together a craft to launch them. Of course, when I went to mount the satellites on there, I looked at it and I said, yeah, this isn't going to work right, but let's try it. Let's fly it. Let's see what happens. Who knows? It could be interesting, right? So let's go ahead and get this launching. Now, on this computer, it's really switching out of KSP entirely when I go do anything else. So if I'm going to screen transition, it's going to leave KSP. Do any transitions there? Having a separate computer and a video capture card would definitely be a better way to do this. But I'm just going to do this all off the one computer for now. All right. Hey, Jack. Hi. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Okay. Oh, you're okay. I'm going to do this now. Okay? It's okay. It's okay. There you go. He may wander off, or he may try to tap on me a bit more. But we're going to go ahead and start the game. I have a few different save files here. Oh, and my screen resolution has changed on me. So let's go ahead and cancel that. And go back to the settings. Now, I wonder if that has anything to do with Yeah, see, that's a little bit high for me on this. I mean, this screen, the monitor is 27 inches that I'm looking at right now. So this 4K, think about that. That's just really tiny print. So we want to cut this down. I want to go to 1920 by 1080. I think that's what that says. And apply. Okay. Accept it. There we go. We're going to start the game. Now, I don't mind playing it with high resolution for the background stuff, but for the UI like this, that's really difficult. This first one, third one, and last one are save files from the past. When and those save files were in under, these save files got ported over by Steam when I installed it on this newer computer. So there you go. And by the way, my setup here, I've got two monitors. I've got this one in front of me, my main monitor, and then to my left, I have the second monitor. The second monitor is where I have OBS running and everything. I also see, I also have the, oh, here, I'll show you. Second monitor with me on the camera there, right? But I've got the chat here. So if you do chat with me, it'll pop up here. I don't know if I'll hear it, or I've never done it before. So we're going to see how this works. But back to the main monitor and back to KSP. All right, so these save files were ported over, including this one. I'm not playing in there. I'm playing in, I'm just playing at the beach on this newer version. So to keep things stable, I copied all the files out of the folder under Steam apps and put it into another folder on my hard drive that I usually keep stuff under. And there you have it. So here we are in the veritable VAB. All right, opening up, you can see I've been playing around a little bit with a few different things. I actually started building my curved Apollo type of thing again. This time I tried to build it as a closer analog in using newer parts. And of course it's a mission we've all done many times. Flying to the moon, landing in an Apollo analog of some kind. And in the past, when the mainsail was the largest engine available,
This is wrong.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
When the mainsail was the largest available engine and you had the giant orange tank, you used those to kind of build up something and try to make 5 engines at the bottom, or do whatever, so that you get the Apollo Saturn 1 stage set up. But really for me, the launcher being relative heights, having the 3 stages, and getting us to orbit, so that we not just to orbit, but also lunar insertion stage, and then crashing that into the moon. That was always the key thing, and it really didn't matter to me too much if those stages were such an analog of the Saturn V. But at the top, I wanted the command module, the service module, and the lunar module, or landing module, that lander, to be close as I could make them seem to be. And the very first time I did this, more than 10 years ago, it was really good at actually, it did a very good job. First time I played it, I got down, I landed, I got out, it did a couple things, landed to fly. It was early access. It was 0.23 or 24, something like that, as I recall, many years ago. And, I did all that, and I got back up into orbit, and did so by separating, leaving half of the lander behind. Actually, was the way I did it the first time. And I thought, heck, this is pretty easy. There's some tough things in KSP. And although I've got some interesting I'm playing with some of the newer parts, but I'm trying to stay mostly stock parts. But let me give you a quick overview. I do add a couple of mods that I really like using. Now, MechJeb is useful, and there are times when I just don't want to monkey around with trying to figure out certain encounters and creating maneuver nodes. So I do use it for some stuff like that. Occasionally, if I've got some docking thing that just isn't looking right, I might pull out the docking autopilot. The Ascend autopilot is helpful, but I don't use it very often anymore, as I wrote code to do the launch for me, and I use the KOS mod. I find that writing code and driving my flights that way is so much more enjoyable. There's some code that I've written and some stuff that I'll share at a later point and set things up. But right now I want to put some satellites in orbit. So let's go ahead and load this guy up. Now I already flew it and had some fun flying it. Now here we are, we're not, so we'll go atmospheric, we're on Kerbin. This is Kerbal Engineer, of course. Very useful as you're trying to make sure that your calculations make sense. And so here it says 2444. So I come down here, we see 2402, something's not quite. Earlier it did show exactly matching numbers. I'm not sure why that looks slightly different now. The launch without these solid boosters was okay, but I ran out of fuel before I could get to where I needed to go. So here we are. We're going to go ahead and make sure we do this with more fuel. I really wish I had a third monitor so I could put OBS and everything on that, but that's okay. So, but I do have something I want to show you here. So I need to go to back over to the second monitor. We'll go ahead and pull myself up again and wave at you, but you don't really care about that. We're going to just look at the second monitor. Actually, here you go. So that you can see what it looks like in front of me. I have the two monitors set up here, but let's go ahead and just look at the second monitor. This is a great website, this Resonant Orbit Calculator. So I set it up. I want to go to set up 3 satellites, and I picked the minimum LOS orbit, or line of sight. So, and I do have Outer Planets mod installed, by the way. And I plan on traveling to more planets and see what we can do. So I'm going to set these up. Now, if you want to do this, you want to go to low orbit instead, you'll notice that the periapsis dips down into the atmosphere, so that's not going to work for this particular setup, and that's okay. If I was going for, like, a geosynchronous orbit, that would work. And this can save fuel. It can be a little easier to do this way. But the way that this will work is you'll set up, and I'm going to go ahead and switch this back to the setup that I'm doing. And we're not going to dive for it. Instead, we're going to go up higher. So this is going to be the higher up that we'll go. We'll release one of the satellites when we're down at the bottom, when we're near to the bottom. The satellite has a bit of fuel, enough so that this calculated 143.68 meters per second is the injection delta V that we need. So that's what the satellite's going to have to do in order to stay at this altitude of 600,000. What the Resonant Orbit Calculator does is it lets me set this up so then my launching craft will make another orbit around, well, probably this way around as we usually look at KSP. We'll orbit counterclockwise. But we'll come back around, and when we get back down to the bottom, I can drop off the second satellite. One more orbit, I'll drop off the third satellite. Each time I drop off a satellite, it will burn. We'll have to burn it to get it to stay at 600,000, both apoapsis, periapsis. We want that to be a circular orbit, or fairly circular. This setup will place these 3 satellites in these positions, equidistant from each other, the resonance. By going to this altitude and coming back down, we'll get back down here when the satellite has moved to a position 1/3 of the way around the final orbit. that's how the rest of this works. Now this is more obvious when you set it up with the dive orbit, right? The idea being when you're at the altitude of what you want the orbit, the final orbit to be, you would release the satellite here. It's a little more obvious in the diagram that way. But this is a great web page. I love this thing. And you can set up satellite networks this way very easily and for a lot of, well, any of the bodies in the game. So there you have it. All right, actually we'll go back to the main monitor and back to KSP. So I built this launcher, and zoom in a little here, and I've got the payload up here with the 3 satellites on board. Now, like I said earlier, when I brought the satellites in, I built them separately first. I came and built this launcher, set up the tri mount, and then when I put them on, the moment I put the second one on, I knew this wasn't going to work. But it was so much fun when I tested it. You're going to see. Well, I hope you're going to see. I hope it's going to work the same way that it did before. Now, I do have a little bit more fuel than I really need in order to get up to orbit. I didn't bother with the launcher to scale the fuel tank. I probably should put some smaller boosters on instead. This is, well, it's going to do a bit much. I'm trying out a couple of other, those are actually from the satellites. I have some cards installed that give me those controls. But we're going to just use MechJeb Ascent Guidance. I'm all set up already, but one thing I want to do is I want to change this to put it to -90. I prefer to roll onto the back, not onto the stomach. Trust me, negative G's are not so comfortable. I've done that before myself, not in spacecraft, aerobatic aircraft, airplane, but yeah. So everything else should be, we're skipping circularization because I don't want it to circulate. I'm going to go up and we're going to set this so that the periapsis, or the apoapsis, is what we're going to first, based off of the calculator. So with that in mind, we'll then have to set up a maneuver node when we get to the periapsis to bring to the, the apoapsis. The apoapsis is the higher one. The periapsis is the lower one. It's been a little while since I was playing. Make sure I say this correctly. The apoapsis will be at this 1,107,000 and so forth meters. So 1107 and fraction kilometers. Then we'll bring the periapsis up when we get there to the 600,000 meter mark, the 600 kilometer mark. When we get to the periapsis, we will release the first satellite. All right, get rid of MechJeb there. Go ahead and engage the autopilot, which will set everything else up, and we'll launch when we stage, which will initiate the boosters and the main engine. I'm just checking. We've got our separatrons to pull those boosters away. Let's see here. That's for the stage 2. We're actually going to move this fairing down a little farther because it didn't stage when I first tested this. The auto staging of the fairing is set up here, but the fairing, well, I was way out in space because of things. Now, I also want to try to ditch the stage 1 prior to the periapsis coming up out of the atmosphere, because I'd like that thing to just go be destroyed and not leave the debris in orbit. All right, here we go. Space bar, and we launch. Now I plan on bringing my code over for KLS. It's on a different computer. I've got it stored in this source code repositories, but I'll bring that over, and I've got a great program for launch control. Produces wonderful terms that works with launchers of all kinds of sizes, and with little to no adjustment to the program. that down a little here. Obviously, I'm not watching this live myself, but we'll see what happens. So back to KSP. As you can see, we're getting some serious speed building up here and we're only 13 kilometers up now. So we're going to start getting some heat. Oh yeah, we're going to get some serious heating going on here. So this is what you would call high Q, and that's where, you know, I didn't limit Q on this. If I did, it would cut the engines. It would throttle that main engine back quite a lot, and we'd certainly conserve a lot of fuel. Now you can hear the air flow sound effect going as we're getting really high. But I'm going to go ahead and leave this on, leave limiting of Q off. Normally with MechJeb, I would recommend that you do that. You want to, and high Q just means that we're actually expending more energy pushing against the air pressure because we're going too fast in too thick of an atmosphere. And you can see these indicators popping up here. We're heating up some things. Some things are starting to get hot. Now if those red bars fill in all the way, then it's possible that we would, now that's a good separation. I put 2 separatrons on either side at the top and 1 at the bottom because I wanted the whole thing to pull away, but I wanted the top to lean back more so that it really pulled away from the craft. Oh, I keep forgetting to add fins to the bottom of this one, but as you can see, it runs pretty stable. All right, our altitude's getting up there as the heating goes down. And yeah, that all happened the first time, so I wanted you to see it. We should see this heat dissipate here pretty quickly. And those bars will start going down and then disappear. So we're good and safe now. We're running lower on fuel, that's okay. Like I said, stage 1 was plenty. Oh, there goes the clamshell, and you can reveal the payload, 3 satellites. We have 3 satellites in here that we're going to fly to orbit. All right. Throttling down, you can see that the apoapsis is where we're trying to get it to. Our altitude, we're up out of the atmosphere. 70,000 meters is the edge of atmosphere. Now, when the autopilot is now disengaged, it's shut down. So it says engage again. When that happens with MechJeb, it tends to leave your craft spinning a little. That's all right. We can quickly and easily put it back on track. But what I want to do is now to set up our next burn. So we're going to pull up our maneuver planner. The maneuver planner, we're going to change periapsis. We're not going to change it to 100 kilometers. We're going to change it to 600 kilometers. Okay. We're going to do it at the next apoapsis. Create the node. Now we can see what's going on there. I'm going to go ahead and use the SAS to get us pointed at that maneuver node. So we're in the right orientation. Now, take a look at the map here. We've launched. We're going to fly up here to this apoapsis. The orbit would come back and we would dive into the atmosphere here, of course. But as we go around this curve, we're in space. There's no airflow. It's not going to turn your craft. So we're going to point there before we get up to that. And check this out, 277.2. We have, how much does that say we got left? So you can come over here to your stack and you can look right here and see how much you've got left, 592 meters per second. So I got way more than I need. So I'm not going to let it stick with me. I'm going to watch that apoapsis, or pardon me, the periapsis really closely, and I'm going to cut that engine and I'm going to ditch that thing. So I'm not going to have it actually execute this maneuver node entirely on my own. But I do want to warp up to there and get ready for it. So I'll click execute maneuver node. But I'm going to be ready to abort the execution and then do it myself and stage things. And this is going to throw it off just a little bit, but you know, that's okay. I'm going to, you know what, actually let's try it this way. Let's see if I can get some sun. No, we're in the dark. Oh well. I'm going to go ahead and prepare to shut down this engine when that periapsis hits. Oh, it's too high already. Well, that's okay. We'll stage and finish burning this way. And I'll have to delete the space junk later. Of course, it's throttled way down in order to finish off the burn. And there you have it. We now have very close to the exact heights that we were looking for. So the next step is to warp down to the periapsis and prepare to launch a satellite. Before we do that, I do want to open this lower bay. The upper bay has some equipment in it, but the lower bay has my solar panels and a couple of antennas that I can't seem to select and open up, actually. Just some basic communicatron whatevers that stick straight out. But that didn't want to work, so we're going to get those solar panels out. They're not going to do anything at the moment because we're not in the sun. But there's our craft, ready for us to head to our apoapsis. Pardon me, past our apoapsis, down to our periapsis. I'm going to get that right. Okay. So let's just time warp here because that's 47 minutes away. I don't really think we want to sit here. So I'll just hit the time warp up a little bit. One step at a time, making sure I'm not going too fast. And we're now going 100 speed. All right. Might go 1,000 for a moment and then bring it back down. Okay. Very, very briefly. All right. We're getting towards the periapsis. And here we are in the sunlight. Look at this craft. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, all 3 satellites are set up. And one thing that I do, when I remember to, and I've got a craft that are docked together and multiple things going on, is I do set up the naming system. And I'll show you in the VAB later how that's done. But now, I set it up so that we could stage to release the satellites one at a time. Let's go ahead and get ourselves pointed retrograde. This way the satellite will be ready to do its burn to slow down. Well, problem is, if I do that, it's going to be on the wrong side of the ship. So I'm actually going to point prograde. Then when I separate, I can turn the satellite around retrograde and start burning in order to get my apoapsis down. Now, we've only got a few seconds till we get there, so let's go ahead and separate. And that first satellite separated and broke apart. Look at that. Look at that debris cloud. The first time I tested it, I was on the dark side of the planet, and I threw the debris in front of the background that way. And actually, it was kind of a cool sight. Oh, jeez. Now, there's a nice landing site. Go land yourself on that island. That's a challenge if you can do so. And do it manually. With MechJeb, it's easy, but do it without MechJeb. See what happens. But you ought to check out that site anyway. Even if you use MechJeb, it's worth it. So I'm going to switch over to the satellite. Well, I'm going to try to switch to the satellite, but I got so much debris here in orbit that it's actually tough to find my ship again. And we seem to be bugging. All right, let's try going into the map and coming back out. Or can we render? Oh, no, we just zoomed way out. That's all. All right. So you can see 2 ant engines on the bottom. We lost a few things off the satellite. Let's go ahead and deploy. I think I've got those set up on 3 and all the antennas on 4. So we've lost 2 of our solar panels. Solar panel arrays. But let's get pointed retrograde here. And we'll start burning to bring that apoapsis down.
Your comments aren't on. Like
What?
It says on my end, like if I watch a video, it says YouTube Kids, your comments are disabled.
Oh, comments are disabled because of that. Interesting.
Yeah. Just
Well,
thought I'd let you know.
Okay. Well, I want to get comments on, so I'm going to try testing that out here in a little bit.
Yeah, I was watching it and it said, YouTube kids, your comments are disabled.
Time to periapsis is a minute. 1 hour and 32 minutes, right? So we're a little bit past. We're pointed retrograde. We're just going to burn until we pull that down. Now, I do have a mech jeb aboard this satellite, so I could set things up correctly. This is just a communications satellite with one relay dish and a few of these antennas. 6 of these guys in total, and 3 of these. Because the antennas can combine, and by the way, I did position it so that by putting the solar panels out first and the dishes out second, they would never actually intersect and touch each other. The fuel tanks were not full. You'll notice that our periapsis is getting screwed up as well, so we're going to need to fix this. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out mech jeb. We're going to take the maneuver planner. And let's go ahead and say we want to circularize. Now, I don't really want to circularize. What I want to do is change both the periapsis and the apoapsis. So I'm going to change these both to 600. And it's going to complain a little bit probably when I try to create the node for this. The new apoapsis cannot be lower than the altitude of the burn. Well, that makes sense. So let's go ahead and set this to, let's say, 620. And set this to 580. Now, we've run out of fuel. We're very close, but we're not quite there. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and try to create this node. It cannot be higher than the altitude of the burn. Well, the new I've got the periapsis and apoapsis backwards. 580, 620. All right, let's create that node. Now, it says we need 67.1 meters per second. I don't know that we've got that in this craft anymore. Not with just the RCS, but let's give it a try. So, we're going to turn on the RCS. We want to, hold on a second. We want to make sure we get rid of nodes. Let's create that node and execute it with the RCS. And there we go. They do come close, but they don't quite touch each other, it looks like. Alright. You can see that the apoapsis and periapsis are changing. And our fuel situation is pretty good. Yeah, that sound effect doesn't, sound effect playback isn't great. Check out the map, and you can see that our orbit is changing, slowly changing. I really like this mode of changing both of them at the same time. And it lets us dial into something that we can really make use of. Now, because I've set this at 20 kilometers above and below, the resonant period, the period of this final orbit will still be the same as the circular orbit at 600 that we were trying to plan for. So the good news is this will work to help us out with our, and this is satellite 1, KA1. All right. Our KA2, well, the naming didn't work. I think I've got the priorities backwards. So KA2 is, but anyway, it's the deployer is what that craft should be called. So I'm gonna have to go fix those names. And of course, those engines are now useless. I thought about setting this thing up so that I could just toss that tank when I was done, but then it would be separate floating debris, and frankly, I'd rather not do that. If I ever wanted to come and recapture the satellites and bring them down, you bring down an intact satellite, you refurbish, you refuel it, you launch it again. Sort of story mode way of playing on that. Of course, with just the RCS, this is going to take a while. We got a lot of the way back up already, so it is fun to watch that orbit as it changes. I'm going to hide the maneuver planner now. And you'll see those markers. If I just leave the cursor sitting there, you can see it is slowly moving. And at some point, the periapsis and apoapsis markers on our current orbit will start to rotate rapidly around to line up with the maneuver node and target. Yes, there's physics warp, but I'm not going to do that. And this is where live is going to be less fun than if I recorded these in advance. But, you know, you get to experience it along with me, and you get to see the Kraken tear apart my ship. So, hopefully the third satellite will detach and be fairly intact. You can see that the speed that the periapsis is changing is actually increased. We're doing better now. Now, this is odd. Why is my time to apoapsis? Oh, because I am past it. Just a little bit past it. Now, I did set up this one so that I am using the requirement of having communications in range. You have to be able to communicate in order to really fully control your probes, or you have to have a pilot on board. And that's why I'm setting up this communications satellite network. This will give us coverage, and using the relay antenna that's on there, that I put on the top of the satellite, gives us 15 billion meters, or 15 million kilometers of range. Now that's not enough to cover the entire solar system here, the Kerbal system, especially because I have the Outer Planets mod, but it is enough to get us going. We can build more satellite networks further out. I've done that before. Years ago, I actually, prior to KSP having the communication control range requirements built into the game, there was a mod, and I forget what its name was, that added antennas and dishes and communications in very similar fashion, and I really liked it. So I built several series of communication satellites, and I built a launcher that went out and put a network of satellites into 2 orbits, one equatorial, one polar, around Kerbin, or a single launcher. Put a set of satellites around Kerbin, a set of satellites around the moon, a set of satellites around Minmus. Another launcher was sent to put satellites around different planets out there. And as you can see, here we are, 592, 611, pretty close. That was the whole burn. It's not 100% accurate, but it's put us close enough that I'm actually pretty happy with that. And we'll go ahead and leave the satellite there. So now we want to switch to our other craft. Anyway, one of the sets of satellites, well, a couple of different sets of satellites that I actually put up in that earlier version of the game were for the and those came from a module I haven't played with before, and I didn't know it would put those up, so oh well. But anyway, I set them up out in the orbit of the sun, and I made 2 layers of satellites going out. I think the outer layer had 24 satellites. It took a long time to place all of those, but it created a communications network that literally provided 100% coverage to every planet in the standard Kerbal star system. I didn't have Outer Planets mod at the time. Well, now we want to fast forward ourselves an hour and a half almost. Hour and 24 minutes would be really good, so let's time warp there. There is a warp helper in MechJeb. So let's see here. We want to go to, nope, not an SOI transition. We want to get to the next periapsis, and we want a lead time to it of, say, oh, let's do 45 seconds. That'll do. All right, so let's warp. And here we go. We'll get dark, we'll get light again, we'll swing around the planet, and here we are coming in with 45 seconds to go. So with 45 seconds to go, let's launch. We'll go ahead and leave the warp there. We'll launch the next satellite. Yeah, that wasn't great. Oh, and we lost a solar panel. Look at that cloud of debris. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, well, we better get over to our other satellite here. And let's get that thing back under control. Get it pointed retrograde. And see what damage that did to our orbit. Actually, it's not too bad. So let's get our maneuver planner out here. We want to set up our new periapsis to be, let's say 595. And we'll put 605. We'll go ahead and create the node. We want this to start running in, say, 30 seconds. So we'll give ourselves a little lead time. And we'll hit create and execute. And here we go. We're burning. And you can see the node was in just a little under 30 seconds. It's a little bit longer burn time than that. So I should have created it first and checked that and then set a lead time to make sure that we were good. I really like the maneuver planner. It gives us a lot of different options to help with things, and especially it does a good job of setting up encounters to transfer to other planets. So let's get that out of the way. We're going to watch this one come on down and check that out. We're going to get there handily. We're going to have fuel left over. This is going to be better. All right, let's open up the solar panels. Only got 1 unit of solar panels left on this satellite, sadly. It doesn't look like we lost any antennas, so we'll go ahead and deploy those. And as you see, that just misses. So, and these are all stock parts. This unit is from a mod, and it is the core that's actually controlling this puppy. So now, I actually want to point this thing radial out. Just part of the story mode here. And the idea that we'll just stay radial out. So, let's go ahead and go back to the map. And if you look here, you can see where we are. KA1 is over there. And here we are at KA2. Approximately 1/3 of the way around. So now we're going to switch back to our other one, which now calls itself KA3 because I got those priorities backwards. We're going to switch there. Oh, let's get the maneuver planner out of the way. It's the last set of these dialogues popping up, so let's go ahead and get ourselves pointed prograde again. That'll be roughly there. Lost that solar panel, unfortunately. Well, and it looks like we've lost... Yep, we've lost other solar panels off of here. So those definitely do not play nicely with things. Now, the reason I knew that that was going to be a problem in the VAV is because the satellites were touching each other. The solar panels were intersecting, etc. So I just knew that was going to be a problem. And so it was. We've also lost... Oh yeah, those are just the bases for the solar panels. So, but it looks like we haven't lost any antennas. Did we? Oh, we might have. Nope, we've got them. Okay, good. They're all on board. Well, let's go ahead and we know now that we want this to be a little farther out. So let's do 90 seconds. And we'll be all ready to set things up. So, time warping. Let's watch it on the map this time. Around we go. Nice and fast. One of the reasons I like this orbital altitude too is because time warp can go faster. When you're in closer, it won't let you warp as quickly. Those of you who've played KSP before know this all too well. So let's get prograde again. And we'll now stage to separate out the last satellite. And of course, we're not colliding with anything else now. It's our last satellite. There's enough fuel left here. We're going to be able to deorbit this guy. I didn't put any parachutes on. I thought about doing that and trying to set it up so that we would be able to come in and recover most of it. But there you go. Ah, my brother's texting me. I'm just telling him I'm live and he can come check it out if he wants. All right, switching to our satellite, let's deploy our solar panels. I set that up on Action Group 3, and the dishes and antennas open up on Action Group 4. Don't ask me why, those are the two that I've just traditionally used for a long time. We're going to point retrograde. We're already past where we wanted to be ready to start this, but we'll go ahead and throw the maneuver node planner. Set our altitudes at 595 and 605. Put lead time of, say, what was it last time? 30. So we're going to go with 45 seconds. That'll be enough. So we can create the node, double check that's long enough. 1 minute 20 seconds, so it's in 40 seconds. That's pretty darn close. So I'll go ahead and remove the node, then hit create and execute, and it should be able to run that correctly. There we go. Now we're burning, and we'll probably take out the last solar panel. Well, our poor other ship. It's a good thing it's got a lot of battery. And I'm leaving a lot of debris in space. That tiny debris, most of it should just automatically delete on its own anyway. Go ahead and get rid of all these other windows that we don't care about now. Just watch this go. Now in the past, I moved the nav ball actually, I think over here. It just kind of got it out of the... It's in the middle, it's in the way. It's just kind of annoying. Or maybe over to this corner. I don't remember how I did that. Maybe you know, it might have been a mod. It might have been something you had to plug in. And watching the fuel. Plenty of electric charge. Those third panels are more than enough to handle it. Having a little bit of fun spinning the craft around, it'll stabilize. Alright. Almost done. Maneuver node completed. And we'll point this one radial out as well. Solar panel, the one solar panel remaining. Hey, it's enough. Here at Kerbal, it's enough. If I were setting up these satellites in orbit of Joule, probably wouldn't be. We'll go to the map. We'll just get the view up here a little bit. Let's scroll out a little. Oh, apparently we've got an asteroid. Unknown object in kind of close. Wow, size G, massive. Wow. So that's an opportunity. If you wanted to catch, you don't usually get these really big ones in close, but if you wanted to go capture one, this would be the time to build one with a claw on the nose and go get it, do some mining. But you can see the 3 satellites now. There's 3, which is the one we're in right at the moment. There's 2, there's 1. They can see each other. You can draw that line. They can see each other around the planet, and so they can relay to each other. And any one of them will be where it can talk to the KSP, the KSC, sorry, Kerbal Space Center. At least one of them, usually 2, a lot of the time, but a lot of time there'll be just 1. And there you have it. So now we want to go transfer back to our deployer, which has now got the right name. And we're going to let it get up to the periapsis. So let's go ahead and use our warp helper. Not to the periapsis. Again, I'm doing it backwards. Why am I doing that backwards? I know better. We want to go to the apoapsis. And, yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to warp up there. No more solar panels, so not much point in having this open. I've got some fuel. I've got some RTGs in there. I've got some monopropellant tanks in there. I can't. There we go. Now we can close it. All right. Let's get ourselves pointed retrograde. And, well, I guess we're pointed retrograde. So let's burn. We're looking to drop the periapsis into the atmosphere. And I'm just going to skim it this time. All right. I'm going to slow that down. Oh, and apparently we can't do very fine-grained, but we got it down there. I can't do partial throttle, so it's either 100% or 0%. And that's one of the things that happens when you don't have communication, because I can't open my dang antennas. And I'll show you why. In order to have them not stick out of this, I decided to try. It can't see it very well, but I slid them inside the tank a little bit. They were mounted on it, but I can't actually get the cursor to select it. I keep selecting the tank instead, so oh well. Let's go ahead and close that puppy up. And, of course, no more stages, no anything else to do. We're in the dark side. Let's go enjoy. And you might notice the way that I set these up is I actually placed this standoff because I had those ant engines hanging down on the 2 sides. And I actually built that standoff onto the satellite, then duplicated it 3 times when I merged that separate craft file in with the launcher here. And so I didn't have to put anything else on the launcher, but just stick this guy on top. Now I did put some lights on here because I figured we could light it up while we were launching birds and things. But you know, hey, there's some lights, yay! All right, we'll turn those off. Sorry, we're going off there. All right, so let's go ahead and time warp till we're getting close to the atmosphere. We're going to watch our altitude here, which is in kilometers at the moment because we're high enough up for that. And here we are. We'll turn, kind of face that way. Actually, I'm just going to turn off. Well, no, we'll go ahead and keep it going. So we'll let ourselves drop further in. All right. Just stop it every once in a while to let it rotate in. I'm going to stop before we hit, well, I guess I'm not going to stop before we hit the atmosphere. But here we are. And just because I don't care, we can go max out our physics warping, which of course will not simulate as well, but here we go. Now, the reason I didn't pull the apoapsis all the way, now notice we're going up through the atmosphere again. We're going back up. But our apoapsis did come down, so not not very much, not really at all. So we're going to dive into the atmosphere a little deeper. And the reason I wanted to do this was just to share with you the idea of this is a good thing to test. This is a good thing to try out. See if you can figure out your aero braking and just having a feel for it, having done it, so that you know what that feels like and what kind of braking and descent you can get. Notice, that apoapsis height is not changing a lot. And when we cross 70, we'll be out of the atmosphere again, so it won't change any further. We'll have to make a few orbits like this. Now, I don't want to make a few orbits like this. We're going to go out one time. That's a beautiful thing. 3 satellites, and those orbit lines just line up so well. Isn't that nice? Look at that. They're all traveling at 1709, 1720. That one's further off. 1714. Okay, a little faster, but yeah, they're doing really good. And that object is moving, so I wonder if we ought to try that next. Well, I think the next thing I want to do is go land somewhere else. So we're going to build a quickie craft to go do that. Actually, I've got one built that will already work, and I can show you. Let's go ahead and warp up to our apoapsis again. Now that we're out of the atmosphere. Yeah, I don't know why this is not open by... Oh, well, never mind. That's not the thing I was thinking of. Oh, our altitude's over here. All right, here we are. We're going to point ourselves retrograde, and we're going to burn. Now, we've got that periapsis down. Let's get her down. Oh, are we not pointed retrograde? Why is that? Oh, it's negative. Oh, I don't want it that low. Sorry, we're going to point prograde and bring it back up. Too much engine, too little throttle control. Okay, I want to bring that to about 40. Close enough. All right, now I'm just going to time warp. Just turn it up, and when we're getting close to the atmosphere, getting closer in, it'll tamp down how high you can go. And there we are. We're now getting into the atmosphere. So let's go ahead and watch that apoapsis start dropping. And watch our altitude. As we dip deeper in the atmosphere here, we're really going to be pulling that down. I'm going to turn off the SAS. And if you watch the nav ball, we might flip around because of the atmosphere. Yep, we're going to flip around. It'll wobble a bunch there once we do. But I'm going to turn on the SAS just to keep the wobble down. But you can see it'll oscillate around it a little bit. Yeah, see, around the prograde marker. But as we dip deeper in the atmosphere, our apoapsis is changing faster and faster. Probably will take one more pass to bring this bird down. But instead of doing that, let's just point ourselves retrograde. We've got tons of delta V. Let's use it. We're going to pull this puppy down. Now this is an interesting technique as well. We've got plenty of atmospheric heating going, but we're not getting too hot yet. But by burning, I'm also slowing us down quite a bit. And you can see our speed here. Now I have actually done atmospheric reentry without getting any heating before. It takes a lot of fuel to do it. We're going to run out of fuel here in just a moment. Just about there. And it's gone. Well, heck, let's use the monopropellant. Might as well burn that out. But as you can see, our periapsis already dropped in well below. Our periapsis way down, our apoapsis is down into the atmosphere. This thing's never seen space again. And as we come up on what kind of looks like Florida, from this angle, this is the third time today I've come in and been like in this vicinity and seeing this angle, and I just looked like Flora. It's not where the KSC is, though. It'd be interesting to go and explore that little lake over there with submersible. Speed is dropping. Of course, we can't land this thing now. No chance of it, having run out of main fuel. But this would be a spectacular death. Let's go ahead and speed it up. Get this done. Look at that speed drop. Now, burning that RCS is helping, but it's not going to make much difference now. Sounds very weird. We're going to land on these, land. Yeah, we're going to land all right. We're going to pile right on in. Ba-boom. Ah, the top survived. Not for long. Here we go. Oh my gosh. That service bay is durable. Let's go ahead and open it up. And that does have our core in it, I think. Well, let's see what's inside. Yep. The core survived. The other things that were inside there did not. Either they were attached. The things that were on the floor, I think they must have been attached. But they all ripped out. So that was the batteries. Let's see. All of these cards are still here. So battery packs and yeah. So let's see. This side is where the KOS unit is. That's the SAS unit. Come on, there we go. Here we go, KOS unit. So it's there, but all right, that's done. Let's go ahead and, well, let's just recover this so I don't have to go delete it later. And we're back to the KSC. So anybody who's joined, I'm sorry. I did mark when I generated this, it's for kids, and so that I didn't know, but it turns off the ability to chat. And it wasn't that I was making this for kids, but rather I was making this video. It's also safe for kids, and but the way that the thing created the broadcast didn't give me much flexibility there. Well, it's more fun to launch in the day, but I don't care. We'll launch at night. So let me show you. We'll go ahead and pull out the 12. So this is, I built all the separate craft. I built the Saturn, the 4B, the 2, and the 1C. So that's the top third stage, second stage in the middle, bottom first stage of the Saturn V. And so I built all of these as separate craft just to make it easier to move around, not having to go so vertical in the VAB, but then assembled the whole thing into this. So let's load it up and you can see what this is. Now, it didn't work. There wasn't enough delta V to launch, so I decided to add, duplicate the bottom stage, ripped off the fins, and tried to get this to fly very well. But yeah. Well, let's just go ahead and fly it because you're going to see this is pretty funny. I did create the angles there to change sizes, and I did change sizes on every stage, and it just in the same spots that the real Saturn V launch stack did on the Apollo missions. So now this craft has a fair number of parts going on. There's the lander and the, oh, and I keep forgetting to put the science into the, that's okay. We don't need to put the science into the payload bay. Let's go ahead and set her up, throttle her up, and launch her. Well, the thrust to weight ratio ain't quite enough, but we don't have to burn much fuel before it'll take off. Well, that SAS is really causing some difficulty. So So now we'll take off. Oh, please don't tip the wrong way too much. Yeah, this is really unwieldy. I'm going to try to tip it over this way just a bit so we get going. Notice how fast we're not going fast yet. Let's go ahead and pull out. Let's show it. Surface and vessel. Alright, so you can watch our current thrust to weight ratio and our delta V and everything else that's going on. Alright, we'll tip over a little more. I'm going to turn off that SAS to see if we stabilize a bit. Yep. And so we're getting kind of a gravity turn, but I'm going to keep us up a little bit more at this altitude. Not far enough yet up to be where I would normally even start the gravity turn. As you can see, we're going to burn out our first, and we're going to have to separate. And we're probably going to lose a fin because I didn't put any separatrons on this. So we'll stage that away. Ah, we did pretty good. Good angle. So we'll keep going. Oh, nope, nope, nope. Don't flip over. Don't flip over. I don't know why it wants to do that. It's really not wanting to stay where I want it to stay at. Whoops. Here we go. Wrong direction. Come on. Yeah, I'm not having good luck trying to keep this thing going where it needs to go. Alright, stay put. Turn off the SAS, try to just get it stable. The reason for the wobbling is because there's multiple reaction wheels, and I'm not turning any of them off properly and stuff like that. So, alright, we're getting that back over here. Let's keep her going. Let's try to keep it going up. Look at our altitude. We're doing okay. Might actually get this thing into the sky this time. Last time I tried this, I said, nope, that ain't happening. And it flipped all over and just would not go to space. But our apoapsis is not getting high enough yet. That's okay. We got a lot of fuel in this first stage. We should have been ditching it by now, by the time we got to this kind of altitude, and stage 2 should have taken over well before now. And in fact, we'd probably be getting ready to ditch stage 2 at about 45 or 50, maybe 53. Well, we're into an orbital height. I'm going to go to 74.5 or so. We'll go ahead and do that. Get ourselves prograde and just try to hold it. Those engine bells getting hot. I love it when they added that. The engine bells get heated up and then they'll cool down a bit. I'm going to go ahead and ditch stage 1 because we don't need it. Let's throttle up a little just to separate out, which will completely destroy the bottom part. Yeah, you can see our speed is dropping and we just do not have the speed we need. So we're going to go ahead and do some burning here, which I don't really want to pull ourselves up higher. So I'm going to dip the nose below the horizon here. Now this will be a lot more stable. Nope, 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 I'm pushing the wrong button. Come on. Turn around this way. Alright, this will bring the periapsis up. Whilst, let's see, the apoapsis is dropping a little, so I'm going to adjust my position so it doesn't drop too much. There we go, kind of getting stable. But we can keep burning while we're ascending. And now we've passed it, so let's go ahead and just get straight prograde now. That's perfect. Yeah, we were not going fast enough. Instead of cutting the engines when I did, I should have aimed differently to keep the apoapsis from climbing while still burning to gain more speed. We got a long way to go on the speed we need. And in fact, I want to not be at, change that mode again. We're gonna try to lift ourselves up a bit because we don't really want to be dipping down into the atmosphere so much. Notice that will pull our apoapsis down as well, but our periapsis has got to climb fast. Yeah, I think we're going down. And that's okay. We could save the kerbals. We could fly this thing right on in and still save them. Let's get that out of the way. It's good to. There are add-ins that I really like that add a few parts. There are some parts that I like, but I really like the docking port alignment indicator was like the first mod that I ever installed, 10, 11, however many years ago it was, and I loved that because why wasn't that built into the game to begin with? Give me a pointer that tells me where I'm going. The orientation. After all, I'm looking at a 2D screen. This is I'm trying to keep two 3D frames of reference aligned and in my head at the same time whilst we're orbiting around something, so that as you orbit it changes where you're at. In fact, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to put myself up on the screen here and go back to KSP so we can watch it. Look at that heating up. But we're getting there. This is starting to climb really fast, so we may not go much deeper. But we've got, yep, now we're climbing back up again. I'm going to cut the engines when we are a little bit higher. Okay. Now, that's going to bleed off, but hopefully... Oh no, we're going to dip down too low. I got to get that periapsis up more. There we go. All right. Now we got to get... Now the apoapsis is too high. This may be counterintuitive, but I do need to burn this way. Because I don't want that. Okay, now we're going to go up. Well, we're going to be climbing way too high up in the sky here on this one, but that's okay. We've still got plenty of delta V. We're still in stage 2. We haven't even gone to stage 3 yet, so we'll get there. But what I was saying about docking is you start out with, the idea is you're going to come and you're going to come up here, you're going to align this way, whatever, and then you're going to come in and get those docking ports. You're going to pass each other. You want to get those docking ports right there, right? Well, the thing is you start out over here, say the planet you're orbiting. You start over here. You got to go. You're going around. You're trying to stay aligned, but as your orbits go around, like if you're not so you got to keep adjusting again, and you got to keep adjusting again if you're too far away. So that's why you want to have a really close rendezvous before you begin working on a docking maneuver. And if you're closer, you've got a smaller orbit. You're moving a lot faster in order to stay in orbit. So it can take a long time. You can see those aerodynamic forces have been pushing us around a bit. So we're going to go ahead and stabilize on prograde here. And we got some heat going, but we've climbed out of it. This is definitely a suboptimal launch. You can laugh at me all you like. I really wish I had the comments working. It'd be so much fun to see you guys laughing at me. But we'll get up here into space. We'll see what we can do. We're on the dark side again, so it's a good thing we got all that heat. It gives us some light to see where we're going, right? All right. Well, we're still in the atmosphere, but we're in the thinnest part of the atmosphere. Once you get about 40 kilometers, it really thins out down here a lot. But as you can see, we still have some atmosphere, and this atmosphere gauge here. So we're going to go ahead and go down. Now, I'm guessing that we must be low on juice. Oh, the electric charge is really good. I do have some RTGs on board, and I do not have solar panels. And I did that on purpose. I think I did put a fuel cell unit in as well, because fuel cells are the way the electrical power was generated. The engines did not generate electrical power like they do in KSP. So I tried to make this one a bit more of a real Apollo analog, and build. But as you can see, the scale of it just doesn't work right. I've built better ones in the past when I didn't have parts of so many sizes available to me. And we're almost completely out of the atmosphere, and of course that needle will just hit the floor when we pass there. So now we can time warp. We're going to get ourselves up a little bit towards the apoapsis. And let's go ahead and get closer. Now the slash key is your friend, because that'll slow down your climb. Now I'm going to get back on prograde here if I can, and I'm going to just throttle up a little bit, because a little bit of engine is going to help turn us around really quickly. I don't have a ton of SAS, or I don't have a ton of wheels. This is heavy enough. Now that we're in space, it's not going to create wobble, it's actually going to create turn, but it's not enough to turn us very quickly. So let's do that, and here we go. All right, we're going to cut that engine. And let's use the RCS to try to hold us in place a little bit. Got a lot of SAS on board, or a lot of RCS fuel, I mean. It's getting us into position. That's okay. We'll be there. I want to just get closer to the periapsis, because, in fact, I want to pass the apoapsis, because I really don't want to be this high up, but that's okay. You know, at this point, it just doesn't matter. Hey, this is a better view. At this point, it just doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and throttle up, and just get that periapsis kind of close to the apoapsis. Yeah, but we're pushing that apoapsis up, so this is fine. Let's just go ahead and get it to 300. 250, I don't care. All right, what I want to do now is we're starting off with a rather eccentric orbit here. So this is going to make it a little tougher, but as you can see, it's not that bad. It's still round. All right, but we want to go to the moon. Do we want to go to the moon, or do we want to go somewhere else? Let's go to the moon. I guess you could, if you could comment to me, you'd say, tell me where else to go. I mean, crud, we could try to land on this unknown object, but very little gravity. It would be hard for this lander to stick to it. I didn't build it to do that. But maybe let's see about building our next thing. And notice how far down that is. So I think I'd launch it in a polar orbit to give us a better shot at getting an encounter with that. Yeah, oh yeah. That's quite doable. Well, I think that's what's going to happen next. But for now, we want to set up an encounter over to the moon. We're going to the moon. So let's hit the maneuver planner. Now, I don't want an advanced transfer, right? We want a Hammond transfer. And they fixed the name on this, so it's a little more interesting. Simple coplanar Hammond transfer. We'll do that. And we want an impact flyby. And we're going to do that. The reason is I want to ditch these other stages so that they'll crash into the moon. Now, when I tested this earlier today, I actually, with the improved version of this, I actually did achieve that. I ditched all the stages back into Kerbin. Stage 3, Mooner insertion. Had some fuel left over, but I ditched it, and I had some excess. So that's okay. I'm gonna let's go ahead and so if what we do is nope, I don't want to add a maneuver. What I want to do is go and focus on it. And you can see that that's going to come in and crash. So let's go ahead and execute that. And we're going to see our craft mover. I know there's a keyboard shortcut. I can't remember what it is. There's a keyboard shortcut, if I recall, as I recall, for setting your focus back on your main craft. Because it's really annoying to try to find it and click on it. And we're not warping to that thing. It's 16 minutes away. Well, let's see if I can just manually kick in a little time warp and see what happens. See if it'll get us there. Should turn the warp off on its own, but burn time of 1:04, so I'm going to make sure I turn the time warp off. Nope, it turned it off itself a little early. Oh, that's because it can't get onto the maneuver node. So let's turn that RCS on. See if we can get it over there. It's just not enough reaction wheel strength to turn this behemoth. Let's watch that puppy turn. Yeah, look at that thing just wiggling the tail around, trying to get turned there. Seems like MechJeb wastes a lot of RCS on these kinds of maneuvers. It's very annoying. We're drifting over there already, so I'm just going to go ahead and let it drift, and I'll use time warp to stop our motion. Once this center dot here is more or less right over the center of the middle of that. Pretty close. So I'm going to get us... Oh, yeah, hey, guess what? It took over on time warp automatically. Good. We're going to burn 748.2. What do we got left? Just under that. Just over that? Just over that. So we're going to end up ditching stage 2 and stage 3 both into the moon. Well, obviously the delta V and the fuel were not scaled properly on this. So that's a large part of the problem. And trying to find, there just aren't enough tank sizes, and I could have, it needed some test flying, and I then would come and adjust how much fuel is in each stage in order to make sure we get there properly. Just trying to make it aesthetically look like the right height. I used 2 tanks here. The second being half the size of the first, but all right. We're getting close. Running low here. See how that's just... We're going to stage that. That's separated out nicely. And we're going to finish this off with stage 3. Hey, the Mooner insertion stage actually got some use. Alright. Now the good news is, because of that, those pieces are farther back from us. We're not going to have any real risk of collision with us. I'm going to go ahead and change this back so you don't have to look at me anymore. I got to figure out how to do that better so that KSP stays on screen. There's probably a setting that I need to go play with. All right. So I want to separate this. I want to separate it so this hits the moon. We're on a trajectory to do so. And then we're going to do a couple of other, but we got to do a couple of other things first. So our next separator is not highlighting. Why is that not highlighting on screen? Well, dang it. Let's just do it. All right, let's hope I got this right then. Okay. Now, if I've got this right, we're going to thrust out. And I did not get rid of that thing. I think 9. Oh, I gotta get rid of that thing. Gotta get rid of it now, actually. All right. Undock that thing. All right. So I had a hotkey for getting rid of that during launch, but I don't. Yeah. So now I'm going to thrust back again, just to kind of stop us drifting away. And I got to switch back to the other craft because I've got things in the wrong order. I've got to stage out the Oh, that's what I need to do. All right, deploy the damn thing. Okay. Now let's switch back. I messed that up. Okay, I was going to deploy it by extracting later, but we'll go ahead and flip ourselves over. Wait a minute. Get ourselves on here. Yes. Turn that on. Turn off the RCS. And what we want to do now is set the docking port on the top. Nope, that's the crew hatch. I need to set that docking port. This really sucks when you can't see it very well. But we want to set as target. Okay, set that as our target. Excellent. So now we're going to control from our docking port. There we go. Now, when we rotate around, we want to align with our target, which I've got to set again. Come on, where is it? Zoom in and angle over there a little. Okay. Come on, give us the... All right, well, we're going to have to just do this the other way. Let's turn it around. Ah, wow, that just... See, there's plenty of our control wheel torque now. Now you can see we're drifting out of alignment. This is that rotation I was talking about. It will get you misaligned. So now the trick is, which way do we need to move? I, K, J, L. I don't think I think I want to get more level here with our target. I'm going to align with our target. Yeah, target. Align to target. There we go. Alright. Now, I want to back off a little. I don't want to get any closer just yet. I don't want to really get farther either. Trying to make that difference. This is where the docking port indicator is very helpful. Alright, let's get closer. And then... Yeah, those are not the greatest alignment, but that's okay. I think we're actually in good alignment here. I'm going to thrust forward just a little bit. I'm going to slow it down as we get close. Oh, you see the red blinking light. I actually put navigation lights on this thing. So the red is on the port side and the green is on the starboard side, just like it's supposed to be. Okay. Come on. Let's get in there and dock. Let the magnets attract it. Come on, magnets. Pull it together. Stop the RCS now. We're just going to let that drift. I'm going to turn off the SAS and let the magnets pull things together. Come on, docking ports. Pull yourselves together. Oh, man. I'm going to just pulse the SAS to kind of stop us from wobbling too far out of whack. Come on, Doc. Come on, docking ports. There we go. We got it. All right. Now, that separator should be the one on the bottom. It does not seem that like that's firing properly, so I'm going to just tell it to decouple. All right. Now, if I back this puppy out, haha! I have now successfully extracted our lander. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. So now, I hope this works. Yep, and it got rid of... Now I built some frame, and then later I learned that there's a way to do that. This actually has, this part right here can actually do that for you. But I actually built my own framing up in order, and centered it up and everything. Like, I actually got it right in the middle in order to have it not connected to this to begin with, the lander. But let's go ahead and orient ourselves. And what we need to do is to change our approach. And I want to do it, you want to do it early on. But it's a little hard to calculate that. So we're just going to not bother right now. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to the other guy. Because, aha, I'll have to core on him so I could get some control in order to try... Well, I'm out of communication somehow. Oh, yes, because I forgot to put an antenna on it. Well, we'll throttle a little. I've got some control. Just the lightest little bit of throttle so that we can do a little bit of turning here. We're going to get over on this marker. And by doing a little burning, we're just going to get away from... Now, if we look at this thing's trajectory, we're going to miss the moon now. Well, the separation may have caused some of that. So now what I want to do is burn the opposite direction. And to do that, we have no RCS on this thing. Going to have the engine going. As you can see, that's moving around, not in the way we want it to. Now we're going to start getting it moving in the way we want it to. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh yeah. We're going to make sure this puppy is going to crash right on into the moon. Did you see those lines change? Here we go. And cut. There we go. That's all we need. All right. Let's switch back to... Oh, whoops. No. Stop. That is not what I wanted. I want to switch to it. Come here. Select it. I'm selecting the wrong thing. Crap. I hate this being on the wrong focus. All right, let's take a quick look. Let's go ahead and pause that while we do. Key, let's see here. Hotkey to change map. To change. Yeah, let's go ahead and say map focus in KSP. Change map focus, Kerbal Space Program, how to focus on ship. Right, real quick, tilde. Field key is backspace, methinks. Well, let's see if me thought correctly. Alright. Well, it doesn't seem to be. Let's do the tilde. There we go. Oh, come on. That was not good. Alright, zooming in. Let's make sure that's still crashing into the moon. I think it's still crashing into the moon. Well, if it should be. I liked the light. It was going to almost skip across the surface crashing, but no, this is going to go in straighter, so there we go. All right, where is... There we go. There it is. All right, let's switch to... Thank you very much. All you got to do sometimes is make with the Google. All right. Now, this time with the warp helper, I want to go till we have A sphere of influence, SOI change. So let's do it. Yeah, that's hilarious. The lights are flashing fast. I actually meant to turn that flashing off. So let's go ahead and zoom in here and find that light. Now when time warp stops, I'll be able to change the blinking. There we go. And yes, those lights are in the correct places. All right. Now, as we're about to enter the moon's sphere of influence in about a minute, we can see that basically we're going to impact. We don't want to impact. So what we want to do is start changing that. So I'm going to go face normal. I'm going to use RCS just to see if it makes a change. And so this is a technique you can use to just kind of try it out. Okay. And stop burning my RCS. Right. Okay. I'm seeing a little bit of change in this bend here. And it looks like it's getting bigger. I'll place the cursor there. Just kind of watch for them. Yeah, it's moving away from the cursor. Alright, so this is the right direction that I wanted to go. So let's just go ahead and burn hard for a moment. And you can see now that we're going to go around the moon. I don't know how high yet. We'll figure that out when we cross that threshold in just a few seconds. And I meant a few. All right. Now, the line being drawn shows us crashing. So what do we want to do? Well, I've got normal here. So let's just throttle up a little and see what happens. Okay, we're rotating it around to there. Perfect. Now what I want to do is, I think I want radial out. And we'll throttle up a little bit here. And throttle up a lot bit here. Now we're looking for periapsis. Minimum has got to be 10 kilometers. But I really like 60. But you know what? We'll go with that. Now, maneuver planner. That's why I kept that open. Let's go ahead and circularize at the upcoming periapsis. X periapsis. And we'll, create the node. And you can see we're going to be in orbit of the moon at that point. If we don't, we're going to come out and be going somewhere else. Now, there's some of that other debris still flying out there. Well, I guess we're going to have to delete something later. All right. So now we'll go ahead and execute that node. I do kind of enjoy watching it from here. Hey, so those who are watching, and you know who I'm talking to when I ask this, but would you check and see if your, cool, came into orbit and it's going to go the other way around and get kicked out, it looks like. Yeah, it's going to get kicked out. Right. But would you check and see, I think all the transcoding should have been enabled, but I'm just wondering what resolutions you have available. Just take a look at it. I'll ask you about it later after the slide is over with. It is getting late here. It's 10:15 p.m. here in Utah. Broadcasting from the home. All right, now there is a landing system with MechJeb, and since I'm doing this one with MechJeb, I'm going to go ahead and show you some things. But first, back to our craft. take a look. You know, I had. Let's see what other lights we have available to us. All right, we're going to turn those off. We got a couple of other lights on here. These were meant to be turned on so we could illuminate the craft while we were trying to maneuver in for docking. Well, I just didn't use them that way. Now, these lights were supposed to, I forgot to remove them from the light control. I wanted the navigation lights to stay. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn these off manually. And it's nice with the symmetry that they're all three connected on the control, so that's good. Now we need to transfer a couple of Kerbals over. So we want to come down here and pick transfer crew. Thing is, oh good, I can see them all this time. So we're going to send Jeb over because we need a pilot. And then I'm going to transfer crew again. Oh, whoops, sorry. We have to first select their destination, which is here. Okay. And now I'm going to, and you can see they're, reconfiguring. Now he's in, you see the different background. He's in the other, now in the lander. And we're going to send Bob over because he's our scientist, right? Scientist, engineer, pilot. How about that? So we're going to transfer him over so we can do all that scientific experimenting on the surface of the moon. Isn't this exciting? Millions and millions of Kerbericans, I guess we'll just say Kerbals, are watching glued to their black and white TVs. Even if they had color TVs, the signals were in black and white. All right. So now we're ready. And I don't want to detach that, right? This staging was set up because these craft are going to operate separately from each other. Oh, wonderful. Oh, please tell me I didn't do that. Did I really do that? I really did that. Well, let's shut that down. I guess on that last burn, this engine was burning against it. Yeah. Staging. That's why you test these things. Then you know where your staging is messed up. I'm going to separate now. So we're going to come in here and Clampotron. We're going to undock. Well, I kind of thought I was going to undock. Why are we not undocking? Let's see here. I'm just checking this because I'm curious now. Why did that not make that the primary docking port? All right, fine. Well, interesting. I'm not familiar. That must be a newer feature or something. Undocking. Well, the command module stayed in action here. That's okay. Oh, I do have an antenna to deploy down here somewhere. That is hard to see. Oh, there it is. I just love doing everything on the dark side, don't you? Let's go ahead and extend it. All right. We're going to shift to our other craft. And we're going to prepare with the landing guidance. And so for landing guidance, I'm just going to bring that autopilot over here. Let's pick ourselves. No, let's not pick a landing site. Let's just go ahead and let it do it itself. Land somewhere. There are no parachutes to deploy, so we'll turn that off. We want to turn the RCS on because that's the only way it has to steer. It does not have reaction wheels. Oh, we want to turn that off. We're going to re-engage this engine. There we go. Now we're going to be landing. And frankly, I wish I'd waited because I think we're going to be landing in the dark. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll swing far enough around to get some light. Boy, oh boy, it would be nice to be able to see when we get down there. Well, that's okay. Once we land, we can time warp ourselves into the sun. All right. So the highest points on the moon are below 10,000 meters. Since there's no atmosphere, that's why it's defined as our highest point. That red light, that's MECJEB unit. We do have some scientific instruments on here. I did position some dishes so that it looks like, oh good, we're getting some light. We're going to be able to see a little bit. We might not land in the sunlight. We might actually dip below the horizon for the landing. In fact, I think so. You'll notice here's my RCS tanks tucked up inside of here. This fuel tank is way more fuel than we need to get down. And then I've got a fuel tank up here, which I'm having a lot of trouble just selecting that fuel tank to see what's in it. But there's fuel. It's not cross-feeding in. So we've got a ladder. I angled the ladder so that it goes along the same angle as the leg, much like the actual Apollo stuff did. I'm really hoping this is going to... Oh, I need the RCS turned back on so it'll turn us around. There we go. Now it'll turn in time warp. And it's turning and aligning. Got to remember that. I just didn't want using the RCS to try to do its main thrust for landing. Oh, jeez. Alrighty. But yeah. Now with the main engine firing. And the engine I selected for this was the Terrier. It's a reasonably good analog for the landing. But I did, in order to make it fit better, I think I did adjust the thrust limiter on it in there to kind of bring it into the realm of a realistic thrust to weight ratio for the moon. And using the engineer unit, I was able to select, actually I think I did it with MECJEB's equivalent, but I was able to select the moon and then look at the thrust to weight ratio that this engine would have on the moon and make my adjustments. Oh, look at that surface. Nice level of detail going on as we see all the pop marks, various craters. Hopefully our landing will be on something level enough to be a good landing. See our speed changing. One of the nice readouts here as we're trying to land is going to show us both the this isn't the one. There's a reading that'll show us the horizontal and vertical. Is it on the surface? Yep, both the vertical and the horizontal speeds separately. So this is really great because it can help you seeing those components. It really makes it easier to understand. Now we can see in the distance there our landing target. That's being drawn, and we're coming up onto the side here, unfortunately. So, dang it! I was hoping we'd be further in to the middle so that we would be on nice level ground. Well, let's see how well this handles it. And here comes our shadow. So if you're landing manually, use that shadow. Always use that shadow, because when the shadow meets the butt of your aircraft, your spacecraft, you know you're at the surface. It's about the only way to gauge that. Really slow, 1 meter per second, half meter per second as we touch down. We're going to slide, we're going to tilt, oh, we're going to go over. Well, as we slide down the canyon, we'll have to see if we can pick this thing back up. I'm going to try to turn it around so at least the feet are going downhill. Whoa, that's not a good idea. Oh no, not a good idea. Keep it going. All right, we're going to hold that. Oh, we lost a dish. I don't care. It was cosmetic anyway. All right. No reaction wheels. We've got a lot of monopropellant, so I'm not worried about running low on monopropellant at the moment. Should have plenty for our maneuvers in orbit. Let me go back up. Yeah, the fact that we've got so much surface speed here. So, lesson to learn from this, if you're don't let it I don't know that I'm going to be able to get this thing upright. So takeoff is going to be tricky. Don't land on a slope like that when you're on the moon. Not with these legs. They will not. As you can see, there's not a lot of clearance from the engine and the legs, but that's the way it was on the limb. So I built the MLM the same way. Apollo 12 lander. Oh man, we are okay. Oh yeah, we're losing. Ah, dang it. We lost too much stuff. Alright. Well, believe it or not, I think we can get back into orbit. This much is intact. The engine is there. It looks like the shroud is still on or something. Yeah, why has that not come off? Oh, is it pointed the wrong way? Maybe. Well, guess what? It'll still thrust. And I have these separatrons. They're on the wrong place. Oh, and that's why. Alright, we're going to move that up. We're going to deactivate it so that we can stage it. I'm going to use the RCS to try to stand this puppy up. We're going to see if we can get to orbit, because, you know, this is a mission failure on the landing. You know, and really, I don't want to try to get back in that. Well, actually, the hatch is right on top. I guess we could do it. Tell you what, let's send Jeb out there on EVA. He can let go of that thing. And if I have to send a rescue mission to pick up Jeb, and alright, well, we can do it, but this is a promising location. Let's go ahead and plant our flag. Alright. Apollo 12 lander rested. Here. How many kilometers here? Too much. Well, let's see. Let's change that. Grade was too much for the landing legs to hold us. We slid and slid and slid, and just before coming to a stop, the lower stage, the landing stage, rapidly disassembled from the return. We're going to try to get home. All right, can't go that long then, huh? Oh, well, actually it is. Try to get home anyway. All right, I've said okay. Let's see if we can, well, we could switch to that object. Okay, let's do that. And, well, we can read it we can read it sometime later. All right, let's get you back in. Let's see if you can just climb up on top there. Yeah, let's climb on up. And board, why not? All right, we're on board. Now, using the RCS, I'm going to try to tilt us up. And then hold it there. We're going to launch. Oh, come on, fire these things. First, decouple. And come on, all right, let's go. Let's go. We're trying to lift off. And away we go. I do not know where our orbit is going to end up. MechJeb has an autopilot to help us with it, but right now, I'm just going to get us into orbit. If we have to have the command module come after us, we'll have it come after us. But there we go. Get a little better view of it from this angle. We lost all our science instruments. They were attached to the lower unit, to the landing section. Let's go ahead and rotate around here so that we can look out those windows, see the light. It's a really nice part, this. And yes, I used NASA as my flag. It's a really nice part. It's got the thrusters built in, and what I really like about that is it's got the ones pointing outward as well, so right, pointing those directions. Really good thruster arrangement, actually. I mean, what do you expect? But all right, we're going to get ourselves going this way to try and get going fast enough to stay in orbit before we run out of fuel. Boy, those Separatrons just didn't do the job very well, did they? We got like 6 of them in there or something, and they were supposed to kick us up away really fast, but I mean that was the idea of the design. Separate the engine housing, leave all the weight behind that we can, and then I guess there's 4 of them, 4 Separatrons. Kick us on up. I guess I'll have to increase that to 8. I guess there wasn't enough thrust for the moon. I didn't check that either, but now, this is a fun little engine. I really do like this one. The Spark. It really is the right scale for this job, for the most part, but it is a little underpowered for the moon. It's fantastic on Minmus. It's overpowered for that. All right. Watch our periapsis climb. And our apoapsis is still going up, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and point us at the horizon. And let's check the map. How bad is our orbit? Oh yeah, we're totally going the wrong direction. So let's see if we can just kind of make that a better direction here. Where do we want to go? We want to go 180. Oh yeah, that's not a good idea. We got too much... we don't have enough fuel to do that. We'll have to make our correction in orbit. Well, maybe we can push it a little the right way. While we keep going. Yep, our periapsis is still quite low. we've got speed, but we're not getting enough of it. So now this thing was designed with well more than enough delta V in it, but we've got to get it. We just got to get it up there. So to that end, I'm just going to keep it in line here so that we get the most effect out of it. There we go. See, look at how that's climbing now. So we get our apoapsis up. It's going to give us an opportunity. All right. Let's go ahead and set up a maneuver node ourselves. Come on. We'll create our own maneuver node here. Add a maneuver. Move it back just a little. Thrust until we, whoops, too much. Let's roll that back just a little. Using the scroll wheel here on it so I can make a tiny adjustment. And the idea is you want to get those so that they're kind of 90 degrees off of where you're at, and that should be roughly equal in height. So 14 and 17. So low, margin of error, you know, we're just so low. And we so took off in the wrong direction. But that's okay. So now we've got 44.5 meters per second. We've got the delta V. And then we need a burn time of 11 seconds. So we want to start. So I actually want to move that around a little bit here and see how that affects things. You know, I think we're good. I think we're good. We're just gonna go with it. We're a minute and 20 seconds away. Let's go ahead and time warp just a little. Here we go, getting close. All right. So when it's at 6 seconds, I'm gonna hit the gas. Or in other words, press Z. And just, we're zoomed in as much as we can here on the map. And we're gonna watch that go. Oops, I said it 6 seconds and then I wasn't watching. That's okay, this will still work. In fact, I could even get rid of the maneuver node if I wanted to, but go ahead and keep it for the moment. Uh-oh, that is going the wrong way now. All right, that is not good. So let's take that maneuver node, go create a new one. Why did that do that to me? I don't know. All right. Let's go ahead and scroll wheel up there a little. That's too much. All right. 28.3. Do we have that much? We've got that much. So we got more than that. All right. So, oh, I know why we're having a problem. We weren't on the maneuver node. See, you got to pay attention. Got to set yourself up correctly. All right, we're going to time warp over to that. It's only a 7-second burn, so we didn't lose too much out of that. But the frustrating thing is I needed what we had left to try to get us back to the command module. You know, because it'd be nice to do it from this. If we could do that, it just saves fuel. Command module, which has way more than we need to get back home anyway. So I guess this one's almost a bit more of a Apollo 13 than 12 at this point. Let's warp just a little closer. All right. We're gonna watch it this time. I'm gonna hit it at about 4 seconds. 4 or 5. Then I'm going to cut it when it gets way down there, and then I'm just going to throttle up light to finish it off gently so don't overshoot it too much. See, I'm going to watch the markers come in. I'm going to pull the throttle back just a little, like very quick taps on the keys here, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it. 0.4 of what was planned didn't happen, but notice the markers. We're at 41, we're at 38, this guy's at 48, so we're not too far off. So now what we need to do is create a maneuver node. Well, we need to get rid of that one. Now we need to create a maneuver node here. so hard to put that on the line we need. All right. Why am I having trouble creating maneuver nodes? Oh, well, maybe because I'm not having enough radio contact. But I got a pilot on board, so that shouldn't matter. What we want to do is, see, I'm getting that orbit line level there as much as possible so that I can carefully move the maneuver node to center it right there. And then we're going to burn this way. And you'll notice that it's going to take a lot more than we have. Well, if I can pull it back in at the same time, this is the thing you have to do. You have to keep adjusting all of these things to do it. So it's kind of tough to build these, and you can see way too much delta V is going to be needed for us to get a line. That's why launching in the right direction is important. And I should have, if I'd caught that shortly after we got off the ground, I could have turned really quickly into the correct direction and at least got it close enough. This is going to be tough. So let's let MechJeb help us out. Maneuver planner. What I want to do is make a change of inclination. I want to do it at the next either ascending node or descending node. This one's the descending node because we're coming down from the north to the south, right? The ascending node is going to be on the other side of the orbit coming up from the south to the north. And we want to head towards 0. So let's create the node. Here's the node. Way too much delta V is needed. We do have RCS, so maybe it'll help. Maybe we'll be able to get it done. Let's go ahead and line ourselves up for the maneuver. Let's go ahead and execute it and just see what we get. This kind of inclination change would be a lot more efficient if we were at a higher altitude as well. So, actually, let's see what the altitude is at this point. This is the lower spot. So, maybe let's abort that. Let's do it at the ascending node instead, which is going to be on the other side. So let's go ahead and remove that and create it. And you'll see it created the maneuver node on the other side of the moon here. So, and it needs about the same, obviously. But it's just slightly less. So, we'll be a little closer to it. Let's go ahead and execute. The RCS will get us aligned here. We should time warp. I'm just going to kick it in so that hopefully it does it. There it goes. Oh boy. Oh boy. No, this inclination change is going to be way worse than I thought. Here's our problem. We're actually rotating the wrong way. We're going to have to send a rescue ship for these guys. That's not something I'm going to take the time to do tonight. We'll let it just burn out the fuel it has. Now there's a mod that where you can do infinite fuel, so then you can fix mistakes like this. And you know, I'd be okay. I've never installed it and really used it, but I'd be okay with that kind of change. In when you're playing with and testing things out as you're learning, because you're already here. Let's go ahead and learn a little more, right? Are we out of monopropellant? Oh, we're also out of monopropellant. Well, then I guess we're done. This ship is not doing anything further. Well, the other option would be to revert the flight, but I can't because I've been switching around between craft. So, where I switched when they were too far apart. And because of that, that's where you lose your revert flight. That's fine. So, I guess the only thing we can try to do is to fly this guy back. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to switch to him. Jeb and Bob going to have to sit there. But don't worry, Bill is going to go get help. All right, Bill. But Bill is not a pilot. So he's going to kick in the flight computer, the digital version of his good buddy Jeb. What we want to do is an advanced transfer. We're going to pick, must select a target. That's right, that's the way this works. So we're going to come out here, and we're going to set, or not. Okay, what's it going to take for me to select Kerbin as my target? Well, isn't that interesting? That is not what I want. Oh, but let's do something crazy here. Island Airfield. No, thank you. Come on, Kerbin. There we go. Set his target. Got it. All right. We want to plot the most efficient flight back. It's doing a good one. We need 275 to go head back. Gee. How difficult is that? Let's go ahead and create and execute. Might as well. Pork chop selection. This graph is actually interesting to read and to figure out, but if you were to come down here and pick that, bad choice. But somewhere up here, good choice. Error occurred while creating the node. I don't know what that error was. So, do I need to pick something? No, it should have it. Include a capture burn. Well, it's not. I don't need to capture. I'm actually going to go head right on into it. Okay, create the node. We're going to some Tasmanian devil there for us, I guess. All right, let's see if this will create it. Nope. All right, well, here's what we're going to do. He did at least get some basic training, so he does know what to do. We need to create a maneuver node. It'll get us back to Kerbin. There's two ways to do that. Try to slow down from here. So let's add a maneuver node here. Slowing down, that doesn't work good. But we're going to speed up so that we exit. But we need to do it so that we're facing inward towards Kerbin. And there we go. Now, that, however, is going to produce something that's going to kick us out here, which is not where we want to go. So we want to pull that back around. And you'll see that that'll make it go down a lot lower. So, I don't know how some guys can make these videos and get that positioned beautifully where they can make these adjustments and figure it all out while they do it. We get our lowest and so forth. Well, okay, so we'll go ahead and do this burn. 186.3, not too bad. Remember, MechJeb was telling us we should be expecting about 270 some. Let's go ahead and point at our maneuver node. Plenty of wheel strength in this guy. And here's something that's kind of nice. Maneuver planner actually will let you just hit execute the node. MechJeb can take care of things, the actual flying. Hey, he's an engineer. He can figure out how to fly, how to get there. He can do the math. Bill's got this. But now, we're going to let analog Jeb do the real work. Here we come. I might as well show you the inside of this. still have to rotate here to make that visible. We have power generation and some power generation. RTGs up top, fuel cells down below. The idea was I was going to run the fuel cells to just kind of do things realistically. Put the RTGs in to make sure we didn't run out of power while trying to do testing. And so I'll plan to take those out at some later point. All right, let's hold still here, and then let's get our warp helper out. And warp to our next SOI change. Here we go. Coming closer to Kerbin. All right. Okay, so now we are traveling. In which direction are we going? Right, are we headed towards the apoapsis? Well, here's the math for you. We're 2 days away from the periapsis, 5 hours away from the apoapsis. So that's the one we're headed towards. Right? So the trail is dark behind you and bright ahead. Easy. All right. Well, when we get to the apoapsis, we want to, whoops. We want to get ourselves, well now, why is it doing that? All right, let's see here. When we get to the apoapsis, we want to burn retrograde. Now that's an interesting little kick-out maneuver. But that should be enough to get our periapsis down. Yeah, see, and we're getting, oh, there we go. Impossible encounters with our satellites. Well, we don't want to encounter our satellites. We want to go down to Kerbin. So we're going to get ourselves down there. Well, and Kerbin is our target, so we're going to go ahead and burn and see what we can get. And somehow I just kicked that over. That is weird. Well, I just don't want to plan all this delta V. And all we need is enough to get us down there. Ugh. Somehow, it just doesn't seem right. But we'll get her figured out. All right. Let's turn on the... Let's go there. I want to warp. Now I want to warp to maneuver node with, I don't need 90 seconds of lead time. I need, 20 seconds of lead time. So here we go. We're aligned for the maneuver. Oh, well, apparently I've got the apoapsis periapsis backwards. Oh, so I was wrong. I lied to you. I guess we're leaving the trail behind us. My apologies. Here we are, ready to burn. I don't care how close to the node we are. We're just going to burn. And I'm going to look for that periapsis to drop into the atmosphere. It's going to take a good bit of burning right here for that, but we got it. And we're going to sink low enough that we're easily going to make it home. And I did. I had hopped around to the other side of things. So here we go. We're also not running into anything. These lines are showing ascending and descending nodes intersect distances with our target, but since the target's a planet, it's kind of wonky. Like, it'll be there when we're here. Yeah, whatever. When it's, and then there's intersect too. Like, we're going to be here. Yeah, anyway. And it'll be, that doesn't make sense. I guess those must be for one of the satellites. Well, let's just go ahead and warp in. I want to zoom out and watch. Now, notice our speed is way down, of course, because we're way out there. So you're going really slow. We're going to pick up a lot of speed as we come down. We're getting close. And as we get close, we're going to get ready to ditch things. So let's go ahead and close out all these silly helpers we don't need anymore. And let's watch the surface information. And of course, Kerbin is there. Isn't that a sight? Look at that view. All right. Point ourselves retrograde. And thus you can tell which way we're headed. Very easy. And let's burn. Now if we check the map, we see we're coming well down there. That's what we want. Okay. We're definitely going in. We're not coming back out. So it is time to bid this service module farewell. And now we're revealing the heat shield. We're checking it for damage. Of course, it's just a little role playing. And now we'll time warp just a wee bit. Jettisoning it a bit early is good. It gives you a lot of separation. The force of the ejection will also cause it to misalign your orbit, so you won't crash into it. Notice our speed is getting up there towards 3,000. Not atypical for a lunar return. As high as we are, we'll probably get closer to 3,400 meters per second by the time we reach the atmosphere. Oh, not too bad. Probably because we thrust to slow down, we didn't go quite as high. But you'll see we're still picking up speed. Even though we're in the atmosphere, we're still picking up speed. But that's about to change. Now I'm going to turn off the SAS. These aerodynamic forces and the heating of that shield, and we're going to have one heck of a long bit of heat plume here as we re-enter. But we will now start slowing down. Yep. And watch that really turned that velocity delta around. And here we are. For some reason, we keep coming up near Florida, I guess. I don't know. Oh yeah, we're getting hot. That heat shield is ablative, so how much of that ablator? Oh, I left the full thing on. I didn't cut it back. We don't need the full ablator to come back to Kerbin from the moon, but there you go. And it's good sound effect. I do like these aerodynamic sound effects. They did a good job on it. Watching a couple of videos for KSP2, I've seen people talk about how it really is doing a lot better at sound effects. Like there's just some really impressive sound effects going on. All right, I'm going to stage the drogue chutes. Those will help us slow down. And you can see that they're not ready to deploy out yet. Now we're slow enough. It's safe to deploy our other chutes as well. I'm going to go ahead and just do it rather than wait. It'd be really nice to have a drogue chute set up where those drogue chutes, you could build it so that the staging would happen and it would be kind of an automatic thing when you hit the right speed. It'd be nice. Maybe something I could script with KOS. I could write the program to do it. But the drogue chutes, really, like you'd open up around, and they'd pull out the main chutes, and then they'd break away. In a way that they then fall, and they don't actually pull on the chute anymore. But it just gets the chute to pull out cleanly, and that's why you see the little flappy things hanging down off the chutes, like up here, or whatever, in real life, is because they have just a little. It's almost like a giant handkerchief, if you will, but it's just enough the force of the air can pull the other chute out correctly. Even on a parachute for a human being, that's what you really do. You pull the ripcord. You're ripping open that package. That little piece will pop out, catch the air, and then that line will pull. It'll pull on the line that's connected to the center at the top of the chute and pull it out. Probably too much to simulate, and that's why they didn't add it into these. But these drogue chutes get us slowed down nicely into the 32, 33 range. Typically 3 of them on this command pod. Mark II, isn't it? Yeah, or Mark III, I mean. Or Mark 1 dash 3, that's right, because it's the 3. Now the main chutes kick in. This will drop us down to about 6. We're hearing explosions. That is going to be our service module going in. Told you it wasn't going to go back out into space. Well, let's speed this up. Now that we're only going 6 meters per second or less, take a long time to get down on the last. So sometimes I actually intentionally don't deploy the chutes until I hit about 1,000 meters above ground. But the altitude above the terrain here, right, not the same as this altitude. So you have to be careful. Shut that off. And let's go ahead and turn off the time warp. And there we are. Shut the lights off and just recover. All right, well, we're set up to do a rescue mission later on. Well, thank you for watching if you're still here. And those who aren't still here, thanks for watching when you did. We're recovering Bill, as well as some other bits and bobs. Well, not Bob, though. But thank you for joining me. This has been fun for me also, just kind of doing it as I go. Now, obviously, I could take this and edit it and put together a nice video that just went through things. And then I'll script a voiceover for it and record that. I might do that. I might just stick with the live things for a little bit first. But that's the end of KSP for today. And as that thing goes away, I'm also, this is the first time well, it's not the first time I've used OBS. I've used OBS for a few things before, but this is the first time I'm using it for me in doing something. And boy, that's taking a while to exit this time. Oh, there we go. Now we're out. Now that we're out, I'll just go ahead and close. Now, you might notice that when I launch CCAN, it launches another, there's a background terminal that just ends up stuck sitting there. Don't worry about that. Don't close it either. But when you close CCAN here, that'll disappear. So just to kind of finish the tutorial of using that. You know, I'm going to go watch Adam Savage and then hit the sack. Thank you, everybody, and good night.